summarize pretty much that. But I think one of the problems that is in society is pretty much you guys already touched on that. Some of the influences that are bad for both male and female, right? Because the guy was not brought up with certain values of taking responsibility because he's never been responsible. So now if a girl comes and say, "Oh, I'm pregnant," the first thing he wants to do is run.
Well, see, it has to be, both genders have to be responsible.
Right. And now the female who was not brought up to, kind of gave that respect to the husband, or the boyfriend, seem as, as the protector and, in a sense, provider. She wants to kind of shove things down his throat, right? And then it becomes like a head-butting, quote-unquote, competition, pretty much, because he thinks he's a man, he needs to, do things, but at the same time, he doesn't want to fulfill the responsibility of being a man. And she's here, she thinks she got to be in control, and she, at the same time, still wants to be the wife or the girlfriend. So there's that tension that goes on. So it kind of creates
like a superiority complex.
Right, there's pretty much that. But I had kind of adding a few things up to the conversation. What do you guys think are some of the things? I'm kind of looking at the market right now, right? So if husband and wife are working, right? What are some of the things that they need to do? Let's say husband and wife decide to stay together, or boyfriend and girlfriend decide to be together. How can they weather the storm of this inflation? I mean, it's things prices are going up, right? Things that we used to buy maybe a few years ago, we used to buy for $10. Now it's just $20.
Yes.
Right? So is it a good time for people to kind of stay together and remain married and support each other? Or is it time for like everybody to say, okay, man, because of this, I'm gonna exit him, and leave because he can afford this, I can afford that, and we can survive. So therefore, we're gonna go our separate ways and do stuff. Is that a good time to stay together or separate?
Separation should always be the last resort.
Yeah.
Just because you're in some sort of financial hardship, that doesn't mean that both of you cannot come up with a decision together. And yeah, I know like financial burden, or hardship. It does put a strain on any relationship, especially on a marriage. But with that being said, two heads are better than one, right? So maybe but it also depends on the situation. And I'm no marriage counselor or whatever. So take what I say with a grain of salt. If you have a spouse that's spending a lot of money and you're trying to save money, right? And you see it as a problem, maybe you should bring that up. And if you have brought it up and then they still keep spending, right? And then you're seeing now, right? Now you have to kind of look at the bigger picture at this point. If they're spending money and you've told them many times like, hey, we need to save money, and they're not listening, well then maybe at that point you should probably pack up and leave, right? Because then that person doesn't respect you, and then to listen to what you have to say, especially if you have everything, all this evidence laid out, right? And say, look, you spent this much, like we make this much a month, but we're spending this much. Maybe we cut some costs here, we can have more money left over to do etc. And if obviously if they don't see the same vision as you, or they don't they're not on the same page as you, well then at that point it is up to you whether you should, whether to just find somebody else that is on the same page as you, or try to weather the storm or work it out with that person. But let me tell you something, man. When you have someone that likes to spend a lot of money, it is hard to try to stick around and reason with them and try to tell them that they have to. That's one thing why, and I'm not saying that my wife spends a boatload of money. The one thing that I do not agree with, and you know, people do this shit all the time, especially married people. Now I know it has some benefits, I guess you can say, but in my opinion, I do not share a bank account with my wife. I don't, because there are some things that she wants to buy for herself that I don't think is necessary, right? And there are things that I want to buy for myself that she thinks that it's not necessary. I just told my wife this: as long as you know, you're good financially and you're saving a little bit of your money and you're not touching mine for your bullshit, we're good. Because sometimes there are things that I want to buy. Like for example, right? Like when I'm truck driving, I'm always out there buying fucking food, right? Sometimes I don't even go back home, and I don't get a warm house meal every morning or basically every day. I don't get a warm house, so I have to buy food out there. If I had like I did at one point have my wife, you know, we did share an account and it went to shit because sometimes my wife would spend something and I didn't really have, you know, the money sometimes to buy myself like, food for my, or like a, not just food, but like I would say like, like a three, could we, I tend to sometimes eat 3 meals a day, but I cut that down because I'm trying to lose some weight. So, so sometimes now that I'm just sitting in the truck, right? So now I'm just eating like either twice or one time a day. But that's my decision.
Trying to lose some weight, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to lose some weight. So, but at the time, I was like, well, I want to eat my fucking breakfast. I want to eat my lunch and dinner, right? But now I've noticed that I don't have to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But that goes to show like. That also, what I'm trying to say is, it's situation dependent, right? If you're trying to say something, you're trying to save for something, and your partner just doesn't really care about saving money or trying to invest their money into something, so that way you guys can have even more money, then maybe it's time for you to just,
So that